Hi everyone, it's me, Arielle, and it's Wednesday Warriors. And this week's topic I love. Who are the women that have most influenced you in your life? Describe the characteristics they have not related to appearance. What makes them special? How can we use this to understand that our value is also not based on body size and shape? And I'm excited about this because there are definitely a few women in my life that have influenced it and me. Um, the first woman who's influenced my life is my mom. And she, besides being just a good role model as far as being supportive and caring and generous, she's also a very good mother, someone that I would strive to be like. She also is a caregiver personality. She's a nurse by occupation, but she just has her whole demeanor is that of a caregiver, and she's a caregiver to children, to elderly people, to her family members, to friends, and it just goes above and beyond. And I say a lot of the time, if anyone tells me that I'm turning out to be just like my mom, I consider it a great compliment, and I do. So the traits, the characteristics that she has that are not related to body or appearance are generosity. She will give anything she has to anyone who needs it. She's always going out of her way to do little things to make other people feel good or happy or cheer them up. So she's also very thoughtful. And she's, as I said before, she's very caring. She's really funny, which is a trait I personally like a lot. She cracks me up, and she's just she's not really afraid to show her true self, which I think is pretty rare sometimes. Another person that has influenced my life a lot is my Nana. She is so strong, and it's interesting because she's so petite. She's a little thing, she's just a little bit over 5 feet tall, not even 5'1", and she's just the sweetest, most good-natured person that you will ever meet. She is happy with anything. Like, if you could give her you could give her a little pile of dirt in your hand, and she would just find something nice to say about it. She would say, "Oh my goodness, thank you so much. This is so nice. I can do this with it, or I can do that with it." She is just any little thing makes her happy. So if you do any big thing for her, she is just over the top grateful, so overjoyed, and it's just really precious to see. And she may not be the most educated woman. She graduated from high school and never went any farther. She got married and had children, and did a lot of other wonderful things besides continuing her education. But she may not be the most educated woman by books, but she is really wise, and she's learned a lot in her years. And I just am really impressed with her a lot of the time. She's been through a lot. I don't want to basically go into her personal business in a YouTube video, but she has dealt with some really, really serious themes, among those being abuse, rape, things like that. And she has just come out on top, and still, raised four wonderful children, and just is so giving and loving and has the biggest heart. And she's someone that I would love to be like. I really admire her. And I hope that she knows that. And I try to tell her that. And she's really humble. So, the traits that my Nana has are, again, thoughtfulness and things like that. But wisdom and just always being optimistic and able to see the bright side of things. Her optimism is really, really key. And just not letting things drag her down. She doesn't, she, I mean, she could have, her life could have gone so many ways, and she could have just spiraled down into hell. And she didn't. She just lived her life and did everything that she could. She's also really hardworking. She's domestic. She's a great cook. She's just so sweet. She's really just one of a kind. A third woman in my life who I really admire is my great aunt, who I always called Moogie. She's actually passed away, I guess, almost 10 years ago. So, it's been a while, but she was literally hands down my best friend when I was a little girl. We had 74 years between us. She died when she was 90 and I was 16. But I would go over to her apartment for sleepovers, and we would spend our Friday nights together. And if I wasn't with her on a Friday night, I would feel guilty that I wasn't with her because I missed her so much. I would make my babysitters call her sort of to get like the seal of approval from my Moogie. And she was really so much closer than a grandmother was to me, even though she was my great aunt. And she was hilarious. And some of the traits about her that come to mind are obviously, her sense of humor, but also just that she was so young at heart. Like I said, she was my best friend, and she was so much older than me. She was a little old lady, and she had all these stories about how people, whether it was telemarketers or people selling her things or just friends of the family or church pastors or things like that, people would call her on the phone and they would ask for her thinking that they were talking to a 25-year-old woman, and here she was, 80 something. And it was just cute, priceless. But so she was really young at heart, and she just really didn't let age be an impediment to her. She had a ton of health issues physically, to the point where she didn't really leave her house and she could hardly walk and things like that. But her mind was always so sharp, and she was so witty, and just a great person, just really fun. Fun is a perfect trait to describe her. And again, she was really wise and really kind, and she just always made me happy when I was with her. And then the last person that I want to talk about, who was a woman that influenced my life, was a professor I had when I was back in college, and she actually became my thesis advisor when I was doing my senior thesis before I left college back in 2006. Her name was Dr. Stetz, and she was just wonderful. She taught women's studies courses. She also taught English courses. She was a humanities professor, and she was a writer like I was, and she always would give me such great critiques of the things I wrote, and she was always so honest, but she was just so supportive. She absolutely loved the things that I wrote. She kept telling me that I would go far, and I sort of felt like we were kindred spirits in a way, and she was just such a supportive influence for me, just career-wise and academically, and just for my mind. And some of the traits that she had were intelligence. This woman is so incredibly smart. She gives talks all around the world. She's written books. She's edited books. She's taught numerous classes. And I just loved her to death. And she was just so intelligent and so enthusiastic about what she was doing and about life in general. And a really strange story about her is that one time when I was in college, this was before she was my advisor, but she was still a professor and we were close, and we knew each other well. I had a dream that she came to me in my dream and told me that she had an eating disorder as well when she was younger. And this was at the time when I was struggling with anorexia. And I just woke up from that dream and I thought it was strange and passed it off. But I found out about a year later when she became my advisor that she really did struggle with anorexia when she was a teenager and a young woman. And, she was in her 50s at the time when she was my advisor. But she sort of disclosed that information to me, and it made perfect sense just because of how well I knew her and how strong I thought she was. But it was just strange that I had that dream and it was really true. So it was sort of felt that we had some kind of weird connection, if you want to call it that. But so she ended up becoming a support to me about my eating disorder as well, which was something that I didn't anticipate from the beginning at all. But she was always so important to me because she sort of represented the kind of person that I wanted to become. I hope you all have a wonderful week, and I hope you're liking this topic that we're all doing. I'll see you next time.